Live from noon to 3, guys. It's going to be a lot of fun today. Talking some Bucs mini camp yesterday. I'll also talk with Greg Allman later, getting a nice little glare from up above. I like to think that those are my grandfathers right there looking down, the light behind me. Bucs, Rays, U.S. Open, World Cup, a little bit of everything. Jordan Spieth 6 over through 4. Ay. Russia up 2-0. A lot of good stuff going on, so make sure you get here noon to 3. 620 WDAE here locally, 620WDAE.com/listen. iHeartRadio app. Do it. Here we go. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. Hope everybody is having a fantastic afternoon here in the Bay Area or wherever you're listening from. Jay Retcher riding solo today. Ronnie D is he's camping or hiking in the Ozarks. So he'll be out today, tomorrow, Monday, and Tuesday. Lucky him. He'll be back on Wednesday, so we'll give you an update on Pick to Click then. We'll take the day off today, but I'm here with you until 3 o'clock today. Trey Downey, of course, is here as well. He's the first voice you'll hear if you call in and join in on the show today. He's the other guy on the other side of the glass, so he'll be chiming in, of course, giving his expertise on all things sports today. There is no shortage of stories today. Obviously, we're going to talk some Buccaneers minicamp today. It is wrapping up over at One Buc Place. We'll also get an in-depth look at how minicamp was today from our good friend Greg Allman. He'll be joining us from over there at One Buc Place. The Rays coming off a really nice sweep of the Toronto Blue Jays. But it's going to be it's tough sledding ahead over the next week, so we're going to break down what the next 7 days are going to look like for the Tampa Bay Rays, and we'll also talk to our good buddy, Orestes Estrada, at 12:30. Mark Topkin in his bi-weekly spot, Tuesday and Thursday. You can always hear him at 2:15, so make sure you tune in for that. Special edition of This or That today with Ronnie D out. We didn't want to totally put the kibosh on that, so we're going to bring our program director, John Mamola, in here at 1:30 and put the screws to him, ask him some difficult questions, put him on the spot. He's putting us on the spot sometimes, so we're putting him on the spot today. And then, of course, with things kicking off today like the U.S. Open, I mean, man, look at some of the big names already. Guys like Jordan Spieth and Phil Mickelson way behind the leaderboards. Behind the leaderboard, at the leaders at the top of the leaderboard, and then we have Tiger Woods and Dustin Johnson and Justin Thomas teeing off at 147 today, so that's a big topic of conversation. And then, of course, the World Cup, Russia, the host, the only game today, and they're off to a 2-0 lead over South Africa, so plenty of things to talk about today. But first, Saudi Arabia, I keep saying South Africa, but it was Saudi Arabia. Thank you, Trey Downey. But the one thing I wanted to start off the show today is talking about Bucs minicamp yesterday. And, with us being preempted by the Rays yesterday, we had the day off, but a bunch of us went on over. Trey Downey was over there. Not Trey. Zach Blobner was over there, Len Martez, Pat Donovan, J.P. Peterson, and myself. We were all at Bucs minicamp and kind of looking at how this team, was preparing for this upcoming 2018 season. Now, watching how everything has gone, I know I was only there one day, but I had a couple of takeaways from minicamp yesterday, and I kind of wanted to relay them to you guys and get your opinion on what you thought. What was the biggest takeaway and which takeaway holds the most weight yesterday? So the first takeaway that I had is in Jameis Winston still with some high throws. There were still throws out there that, I know there was throws that he made. There was a couple nice throws to O.J. Howard. I'm really excited to see what O.J. Has in store for the offense this year. But some of the throws still, Jameis Winston missed high. There was a couple of red zone shots that he had. I know Adam Humphries had to go up and make a really good catch and get his feet in. But still, it was just not as accurate as you would like. And we're going to get into your level of concern for Jameis Winston in the 1 o'clock hour. But still, and I'm not, you guys know me. I'm not one of those guys that is totally anti-Jameis. I'm also not one of those guys that is just going to give him a pass on anything. I got to call a spade a spade. And I'm still seeing some inaccuracies. I get it. It's only minicamp. And I know he did have a really nice long pass today to Deshaun Jackson. And that's one of the things he had to work on is that deep ball. But still, you want to see your star quarterback, your number one quarterback, be a little more accurate with the football. And I think his accuracy with the football is going to go hand in hand with how successful this offense is going to be this year, and they're going to need it. They play in a tough division. They got a pretty tough schedule, but they have to take the next step this year, or we're looking at the final season with Dirk Cutter and Jason Light. That's just the way it goes. The other thing that really stood out to me was Ronald Jones' speed. And we talked about this with Rick Stroud the other day and talked about the possibility of him starting and the comparison with him and Peyton Barber. But wow, man, when he touches the football, boom, he is gone. And that type of breakaway speed is not something that the Buccaneers have had the last couple of years. And the ability to get that guy out in space and to be able to just shake off one defender and to take it to the house is something that this offense can really benefit from. And you can see it right as soon as you walk into camp yesterday and just watch this first time the ball gets in his hands. It's a thing. It's a sight to see. And I'm very, very excited to see what the season holds for him and how his role is going to be in the offense. Of course, we always want to hear what your opinion is here on the Simpson Air DAE text line. Remember to send your text to 82945. Start your thoughts with DAE. Standard data and messaging rates do apply. Somebody else said, I heard Jordan Whitehead is turning some heads big time at safety. That would be killer. Yeah, the more guys on the secondary that can contribute, the better. Another text here, most of Winston's great plays are not a design play, is a broken play. I'm with you. I love that. I do. Well, I don't love that most of the plays come from broken plays, but I do like that he is an improvisational kind of guy, where if things are going down around him, he's not the guy that's just going to fold or fall down and just take an easy sack. He's always trying to keep the play alive. I understand at times it's going to get you in trouble, and sometimes you're going to throw into double coverage. But I do like that never say die attitude. And I think that he needs, and here's Jason on the text line too, his accuracy was poor at Florida State. It's been poor every year. What makes you think he can change it now? How many years has he been a QB? If it's not fixed by now, it is what it is. Jay, I'm with you, man. I'm not saying that it's something that it's just automatically going to change overnight, and that's why I brought it up. That's why I said, you think in year 4 his accuracy would improve, and it's something that a couple of throws yesterday, it just left me shaking my head. And I'm pulling for the guy, man. I really do like him, but he's got to be better. Another thing that I really liked from minicamp yesterday was the attention to detail from the defensive line. And Brenston Buckner, and it was the interior defense. The DN guys, they were doing their thing. But the D tackles really working on form, technique, and just you see it wasn't guys just kind of sitting on the periphery and just kind of just slapping hands. These guys were focused and working together to improve their craft. There was a time where Gerald McCoy and Bo Allen, they were going at it and just kind of just working on their hand position. And it really impressed me that you got a new guy and you got the leader of this, one of the leaders of this defense, talking to each other and trying to make each other better. Vita Vea, to me, he doesn't look like a guy that's 350 pounds. He's not as tall as I thought he would be, but he is a guy that is, if you could, people say, oh, he wears it well. He wears 350 well. And he's a guy that can really get underneath those pads and use some good leverage. And I know they haven't used pads yet, but from what I've seen in tape and what you can kind of see how his body type is, I think he's going to be a huge factor on this defensive line. And just being able to rotate guys in and out where Gerald McCoy is not having to worry about playing 95% of snaps. Or, I know it's a high number, but, a large percentage of snaps. You can just rotate guys in there. You get the Mitch Unrines in there and the Bo Allens. And then the Vinny Currys and the Vea and JPP. And even, remember, don't forget about a guy like Will Golston. I know he's got a big contract, and some people don't know if he'll still be here and how that whole thing's going to work out. But this is one of the better run-stopping DNs in the league. And I think a lot of people just forget about a guy like Will Golston. And I think he can be a pretty good contributor on this team, especially in early downs. And the final thing taking away from me was Vernon Hargreaves bopping around and keeping things light. But that's my question to you is when you look at a guy like Vernon Hargreaves, and I'm asking some of my colleagues here, in the media, and they're saying, he needs to take things a little bit more serious. And you look at what the team did in the draft, drafting guys like MJ Stewart, drafting guys like Carlton Davis. To me, that's in a direct competition with playing time for a guy like Vernon Hargreaves. The more secondary guys you have out there, the more of a chance that you have of not playing as much. And, Vernon's always bopping around and waving things up. And we saw last year, wagging the finger even though they're losing and he's gotten burned before. And, I'm just, am I making too much of it? I mean, you look at a guy like Vernon Hargreaves and it's just, he hasn't proved to me at all that he was worthy of a top 10 pick in this league or a top 11 pick in this league. And it's just frustrating because if anybody needs to take it more serious and if there's anybody that needs to make sure they're on their P's and Q's because somebody's coming for that playing time, it's a guy like Vernon Hargreaves. And I still don't know if he's gotten a clue. Yeah. Mm.
And to see that his confidence is still high is a good thing, but I think nothing is really going to be proven when it comes to Vernon Hargreaves till games actually start because he's been an all-practice player since he's been here in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, he did have a really good training camp last year. I look at what I see as far as him, wagging his finger at guys and him bopping around and I don't know. And like I said, if it was just me that was saying this, then I would say, I could look at it and go, okay, well, maybe that's just mine. But from talking to some people yesterday, they echoed those sentiments of like, I really wish he would take it a little bit more serious. We talk about Jameis Winston and the whole eating the W's, things like that. And there were some people that were coming out and saying, oh, well, that's just him. That's how he hypes up his team. But then you see a story in Rick Stroud's column the other day from a guy like Booger McFarland, who we really respect his opinion. And he goes, that's just a little bit over the top, man. Be yourself. Stop trying to do too much. And I think you look at a guy like Vernon Hargreaves, and I get it. You want to be energetic. You want to be confident. But you got to make sure that the play on the field is the thing that really is what you're known for rather than everything else. And you're right, Trey. I mean, regardless of what happens in the next couple of weeks, the most important thing is going to happen week one. What does he do? And I think that goes hand in hand with Mike Smith and the defense, too. You got to put this guy in a position to succeed. If he's playing off, if he's playing on the outside, he's playing off receivers, I don't think that benefits him. I mean, you put him in the slot, you put him in press coverage, and you really let him do his thing. I think that'll help. If he doesn't do the job then all right, then you start seeing like Carlton Davis and MJ Stewart and those guys get more playing time. But you want to talk about there's a lot of guys on this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team where it's a show-me season. I think Vernon Hargreaves is on that list as well. All right, switching gears a little bit. The Rays swept the Blue Jays out of Tropicana Field in dramatic fashion yesterday, but what do the next 7 days hold for Tampa Bay? We'll discuss next. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Bo, that's to you, man. And, Bo, make sure you text me tomorrow for Captain Mike so we can give some fishing questions. So, all right, guys, I'm on till 3 o'clock today. Make sure you guys tune in, 620 WDAE here locally. Download that iHeartRadio app if you don't live anywhere near here, 620WDAE.com/listen. Should be fun. See you.